the physical pain is just that's kind of part of football, and you're going to experience that with a win or a loss. The emotional pain that it sucks that being in that locker room, giving all the guys hugs for maybe the last time. It sucks just because we've been here since January. You're here all year long working on the off season, conditioning and fall camp and going through 12 games with these guys, and you really get to know them and they become your brother, and it's a brotherhood in that locker room. So when we lose pieces of that brotherhood with those seniors, it really takes a toll.
Did someone get a life lesson from this?
I think there's life lessons in everything. It sucks. It's a loss, but we're gonna be better in the future.
Jack, obviously not like a great turnout today given the weather and the break. What do you have to say to the fans who did show up for this team for all 4 quarters today?
Yeah, it was awesome. Being able to see the Spartan Nation out there for all 4 quarters was great. It was cold. I know it. And it was pretty cool to be able to see all those people out there supporting us even through the weather.
Jack, I'm wondering, the third quarter is the time where the games have gotten away from you guys a couple of times this year. Is there anything you can point to explain why that's happened, do you think, when you guys come out of the locker room and things happen?
Yeah, we're aware of that. We're aware, and we try to we come out hot, and we try to come out, but it's I don't know where we can point the fingers to. It just comes down to execution and just doing your job.
I wanted to ask you too. You touched a little bit about the future. What do you feel like was accomplished this year for this program that can carry over into next year?
Yeah, in the summer we had 61 new guys in our team meeting room, and I think we came together as a family. We rallied around behind each other, and we had glimpses of what can be and what will be here, and I think we took a step to bring Michigan State football back to where it belongs.
Jack, obviously, season is over, and you're looking towards next season. Talk a little bit about what you need to do individually to make sure things are better next year, and what the team needs to do. What do you need to do as a team to make sure things are better next year?
Yeah, individually, I got to continue to step up and improve as a leader. Rally behind the guys and keep them all up. Work on myself, in the weight room and on the field. And then as a team, it's just keep taking steps. Don't take a step back. Just keep taking steps and build up that chemistry and the culture that we have here and keep it going and just take another step next year and be better next year.
Jack, you played on winning teams with double-digit wins before. What's the biggest difference between teams that get that done and teams that beat themselves?
I would say it's little. There's not much. There's not much in the difference between a 10-3 versus a 5-7 team. It's just it's the little stuff. It's everyone doing their job and just execution. It comes down to execution and great teams execute every play.
Wondering about the 4th and 1 call, 4th and 1 near the goal line. I guess when you guys go to the huddle, is there any talk of field goal at that point, or what was the conversation, and what?
When we had the timeout.
Yeah, and then the play after you get stuffed at the 6. Wonder if you saw kind of what happened or what maybe unfolded with that.
Yeah, I like the play call. It's a play that we should be able to execute, and it's a play that we should be able to for sure get 1 yard on. It's a bummer we didn't get it, and we've gotten that. We've been able to do it many times this season, and just didn't work out this time. But I know I like the play call, and I know that we got the guys to execute it.
Was there any talk of field goal at that point, or was it we're going for this?
Not that I know of. We were going to go for it. Yeah.
Jack, to your right over here. When you mention the little things have cost you guys and its executional details, one, is that frustrating for you guys that it's game 12, senior night, it all comes down to this, and it still persists? And on the flip side of that, can that maybe be a motivator and something you can use as fuel in the off season? Yeah,
it definitely is frustrating that it's still happening in game 12, and it's frustrating that it's every room and there's guys in every room doing it. But on the flip side, it is motivation. It's that feeling in the locker room, that feeling that I have right now, and I'm sure all of Spartan Nation has right now, is definitely motivating and going to motivate us through the off season to come back and be better next year.
One final one.
You were obviously been with Coach Smith for a couple of years here. I'm just wondering what sort of was his message to you guys in the locker room after a game like this? And as a guy who's been with him, was he any different, I guess, considering the situation here and where you guys were at the previous school?
His message was kind of just, he was thanking us, and he was confident in us and what we have, and thanking the seniors, and kind of going back through the year and talking about his favorite parts, but no, it was his confidence in us for the future, and just thankful for the guys who laid down a stepping stone for what's to come. Thank you, guys.
We have Jonathan Kim on his way over. What do you have here? Start with Jonathan. We might add someone else.
Hey, Jonathan, on your right over here. You came to Michigan State a couple years ago without having ever made a college field goal, and you leave, accomplishing quite a lot. How much did this change? Your time here kind of change your life, and where do you see a shot at the NFL in your future?
Yeah, I'm just first and foremost really thankful to God, but also to Michigan State. They took a chance on me, bringing in a guy who, like you said, hadn't made a collegiate field goal to come in and be their starting field goal kicker. So I'm just very thankful to the coaches here and also the fans for believing in me. It absolutely has changed the trajectory of my life. If I hadn't come here, then I would have been working a 9-to-5 by now. And I was lucky enough to get to play 2 more years of college football with a shot at the NFL and getting to live out the dream that I've had for such a long time.
Jonathan, when we start out the season, excuse me, we talked about your faith in field goals. Now we're talking about your faith, and how does that relate to something like quote-unquote failure with not getting the goal that you had today?
Yeah, I mean, just relying on God no matter what, no matter the outcome, just being thankful just for the opportunity. Like I said earlier in the season, no matter what, I'm going to be thankful. Whether I get just being able to go out and kick a field goal, I'm thankful for it. Whether I make the kick or not, I'm just thankful to God for being in this place. And, it was awesome to get to sit out there today and just take it all in, beautiful snow game, and just have fun for the last time here in Spartan Stadium.
Jonathan, to your right over here.
Yeah, we'll take a couple more for Jonathan, and we'll move on to Aiden. So go ahead.
Jonathan, I'm curious, as someone who's been in the program for a few years here, what are your kind of takeaways from this season and where the program has evolved over the year?
Yeah, I'm really excited. There's this guy next to me. He's had a great season, and I'm really excited to see what he does with the rest of his time here. I'm a really big fan of Aiden and all the guys. We got a lot of really good young guys here, and I think Coach Smith is taking this place in the right direction.
Jonathan, wondering what happened with that first kickoff, and how much do you feel like that maybe impacted the defense at that point?
Yeah, it definitely wasn't helpful to the defense. We got a 15-yard penalty, and in my head, I was like, I can definitely kick it out of the back of the end zone, and I just swung too hard, got around it, and pulled it out. So, yeah, definitely not useful to the defense.
Anything else for Jonathan? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Take question for Aiden. Jack?
Aiden, first drive, 75 yards. What was the difference after that, and what would you say to fans now who are wondering about the future of this group?
I no longer care about the fans, like, at all. Promise you I don't. Except the people that stayed, I guess. Like, they was cool. But everybody else, I mean, like, everything that we did today, you know, we came out hot, and then I think it's been a consistent thing of having this mentality of we don't know how to finish games, you know. Like, we come in, maybe we score our first drive, and they're like, okay, we got it in the bag, so we just got to ease off. Or maybe we're just like, okay, maybe I just don't want to play. Maybe it's just the attitude. I don't know what the attitude is. I don't have the attitude, so I've never seen that before. And it's sickening, actually. Like, it's disheartening. Like, it's not – I don't like that feeling. I don't like that mentality at all, and things need to change. So to the fans that stayed at the game, the whole game and the whole season, this will not be the same next year, and I can promise you that.
Could you feel that mentality change, and how do you change it?
And what do you mean by that? I'm sorry. Like, can I feel that
I
mentality
mean, when you
change?
talk about the mentality out on the field, maybe with some guys who
It's I mean, it's every game. You know, we go through happens at least once where we have a great drive and then come back and maybe 3 and out or something like that. And it's just, I don't know if it's a mentality thing. I don't know if it's just a, you know, team thing or just, I don't know. It's a lot going on. It's little details that we haven't done all season long, and it's things that we need to change starting in January. Like this, we can't wait till next fall to figure out these things. We need to start in January and talk about them and get them out the way right now.
Hey, this marks a full season for you in this type of leadership role. Can you talk a little bit about what may be more challenging, being a leader on the field between the lines, or kind of like you alluded to, a leader in the locker room and off the field?
I think this year was, you know, was first for everything. You know, first year being a leader, first year being the captain, first year on a new team, first year as a starter. So I think this year was just my, you know, getting my feet wet type thing. I think next year, well, I think I understand the position now. I understand what I have to do and the things I have to do. And, like, I'm realizing, like you hear it all the time. Like, you can't always be, like, silly and make friends. You can't be a leader and make friends all the time. Like, that's what it is. And that's how it has to be. Like, at this point where we are, we have to hold each other accountable, and we have to do the things that probably not going to like each other at the end of the day, but we got to end up loving each other and figuring out how to work together as a team so that we can put these games together and not look like what we did today.
Aiden, I was wondering, you know, first season of a starter, and you look back where you came in, what your expectations were to now, where did you measure up, where did you fall short, just kind of an individual evaluation overall?
I don't really do individual evaluations. I mean, I feel like I didn't play how I wanted to, you know, but it is what it is. So me not playing how I wanted to led to a 5-7 season, and that's something that I never want to feel again. That's something I never want to see again, and that's something that has to change.
In the start of the second half, in particular, when they go on that long drive and you guys are waiting to get on the field, how much did that maybe impact things coming out in terms of where you were at emotionally coming out of the locker room?
Emotionally, I mean, nothing really. I mean, you know, attitudes change throughout the game, the entire game. So emotionally, I don't really think it really affected us. I think it more affected us just. Well, physically, of course, you know, waiting in the snow is cold, and it is what it is. But we know what we signed up for. We play football, and you know, we didn't come out and do what we were supposed to do. And it's just it was just an attitude that you had to have, and we didn't have it. Like, we didn't have the attitude to come out, okay, we got to respond. Like, we didn't do that today. So, yeah.
Aiden, over here to your right. I'm curious, when I hear you talk about January and the work that comes soon, I'm curious how you can use maybe this season's frustration and all that to motivate you guys for the future and even prove, hey, who's going to look at this and be motivated by it?
I don't think this is a losing team. I don't think this is a losing program. And I mean, the way I look at it is if you want to be a loser in a losing program or a losing team, then don't be here. Like, that's just what it is. So, like, I mean, I think we just have to weed the guys out that don't benefit the team. And, you know, it is what it is. Like, that's how things have to go. And once we figure out the guys that want to be here, no matter if they're young guys or old guys, just bring them in and let's play together and work together how we know we're supposed to play.
Aiden, to your left over here. Obviously, Jack had his first touchdown of the season today. And as someone who's spent time with him at Oregon State and who knows him pretty well, can you just kind of talk about that moment, not just for you, but you to strengthen your bond both on and off the field?
It was special because, you know, we've been trying to connect all season long. And should have scored on the play before that. But, you know, I kind of underthrew him, so that's on me. But overall, it's good having Jack. It's good having Jack as a teammate, as a friend. You know, he's a great guy, a great leader on the field, helps out around the field. He knows all the plays, knows what he's doing, does his job. It's just great having him there as, you know, just a second coach type thing. And he's going to be a great player, even progressing next year. And he already is a great player, but next year he's going to come way stronger than what he did this year.
Aiden, when you look over the course of the year, third quarters have been where the biggest scoring differential has been in games for you guys, and it kind of turned in the third quarter day. Is there anything that you can point to when you look back over the season about why third quarters didn't go very well?
I wish I knew. I really do. I don't know what it is. I think mentality's changed. I think we had a lot of attitudes and egos in the locker room. I'm sorry, and you know, we just have to do a better job of, you know, maintaining the guys that want to be here and want to do things right. And I think we had those guys. I just don't think the attitudes were there. I think all the guys here want to win, and I think all the guys want to do the right thing, but I don't think their attitudes are in the right place. And we have to talk about these things. We have to figure that out. And yeah, you could say I've only known these guys for a year, but, you know, being with them for a long time, being with them for a year is enough to know, like, okay, you want to be here or you don't. Like, it is what it is. So once we figure out how to change those attitudes, I think we'll score way more points than the third quarter. We can score all four. That's what I want to do. So coming in next year, I think we have a different mentality, different team.
This might be a better question in a week from now or something once you've had some time to sit with it, but what would you say has been accomplished this season for the program that can carry over into next season and beyond?
A learning experience, just a roller coaster with the ups and downs, and more downs than ups, and that's what it is. So once you just take into account that, okay, we had a bad season, we didn't win how we wanted to win, what are you going to do about it? That's really what it is. Like, we have to change our mentalities, change our attitudes, and figure out what we're going to do about it.
Aiden, on the over here on the 4th and 1 call down on the goal line, is that a play maybe next year you lobby to the coaches for you to do a sneak, or is that not something that you look at, you know, something to execute?
Props to Rutgers. I mean, they prioritize on not letting anybody up their A gaps. So, I mean, especially on 4th and 1 or 4th and short, any down and distance that's really short. And they close the gaps. So really just getting outside of it was probably the best idea for it. And I think the play call was fine. I just think that we didn't execute how we were supposed to execute. You know, maybe next year, yes, we can talk about changing the play or doing something different, not just for me, but in general, just getting around their defense. But overall, I think it was a good play call, and we just got to execute better.
Aiden, 12 starts this year. What's the biggest thing that you learned, and when did you learn it?
I mean, I learned first game, you know, like, it's not going to go your way. Like, I mean, I knew that already. I knew how football works. I played football my whole life, and I know that things don't go your way. But, yeah, like, started off bad. My first throw was a pick. And Alessio now, like, he know, like, it is what it is. But, like, especially after watching him today, like, I'm like, okay, like, it's a learning experience. Like, you can't care about those things. Like, you messed up, okay, cool. One play doesn't define you. Like, that's how it works. And no matter how I look at it, no, not one play defines me. No, like, you could say I suck. Like, it is what it is. Like, I don't really care about that no more. I'm going to work harder, and we're going to figure out how to win these games as a team. This ain't a me thing.
We've got one final one for Aiden there in the second row. What's number one thing that you want to be able to improve by the time next season rolls around?
Finish games. This is not an individual thing. I mean, I just want to be able to finish games as a team. We have to come in and, you know, play all 4 quarters. I think we're a 1-2 quarter team, and once we figure out how to implement those 2 quarters into the next 2 quarters, I think we can win a lot of games. Appreciate y'all.
Okay, obviously tough one. Credit to Rutgers, but we didn't play well enough to earn a win or earn a chance to continue on playing. Dude, got a great appreciation for the guys in that locker room. Spent a little bit of time digesting, talking. There's some seniors out of that group that put a lot into this place and played their final game, and got a lot of respect for them for really being open-minded to buying into a new way of doing things this year. And I do think they played with a lot of great effort and showed some leadership and things. I told the team these things are tough when guys had just finished, so appreciated them, but also spoke to the rest of the group, those that didn't play their last game at Spartan Stadium. I'm still confident that we can get this thing in a way better place. It's going to take some work, though, and we're in the midst of it right now, and these things are disappointing. And we had some definite ups and downs this year, and we got to keep on plugging away and going to work. I got a belief in our approach, our process, and how we're doing it, and want to feel like the guys that have more time here, we can get it going. But we got to get it. We got to play better. We got to get better. And so that starts with me, the approach. Coaches, right? We're going to digest this whole season and find ways where we can play better because we need to. And this place, you can do it here. We just got to keep on working to get it done. And just quickly on this game, I think really separated in the second quarter. You look at the 4th and 1, we can't get a yard inside the 10, so they take over. They go 95 yards and punch the thing in. Don't get much. They end in more or less a 2-minute drive of our field goal, and then we go out there with 3 snaps, 3 incompletions, don't take any clock off, and they chip in another one. So the momentum swing there was big, but you're regrouping at halftime. Got to get a way to get a stop and to really score first in the second half to get yourself back into it. They come down and convert, I think, 3 or 4 times on 3rd down, take about 8 minutes off the clock, and that really changed the thing. And that's what Rutgers is about, man. They're leading the league in time of possession for a reason. And so they really separated the thing at that point. Questions?
Jonathan, you took this job on during a historic change in the college landscape, even with you not having a chance to evaluate everything and even having another game had you played and been successful. What's something that you were thinking about, or some things you were thinking about that kind of have to happen going into the future for Michigan State football?
Well, in this landscape, right, I still think this thing's a game of development. So whoever's on your roster, those guys need to get better and develop. And we've got some good players on this roster that have a lot of years left of eligibility, and confident that in our approach, those guys continue to work. And that's on us as coaches to develop them. At the same time, you got to continue to add good players that can play at a high level, that are in on our approach of doing it. And we're confident we can do that. And it turns into these next couple of months, there'll be quite a bit of that.
Hey, Jonathan, over here. I was wondering just real quick, is Jalen Thompson okay when, a scary injury like that?
Yes, he was released and doing okay in concussion protocols, what I was told.
And then as far as where you go now, what's your next step? Is it, exit meetings with the players? How do you digest the offseason like this?
Yep, this next week we will more or less exit meetings. We meet with every player to digest the season, talk about the future. We will do that, and then the rest of the month of December, transfer portal is open, and we'll be evaluating and trying to add to our roster at that point.
Jonathan, I'm wondering, you point to that 4th and 1 play. When you call the timeout, is there any conversation about taking the 3 at that point, or was that a we're going for it moment, and was there anything that you saw that maybe broke down?
We didn't feel confident with what we had lined up in a formation. We weren't totally certain that we were correctly aligned, and so at that point, especially in the first half, I'm going to make sure use timeouts to have certainty that we are all on the same page. There really wasn't, with those conditions, a yard. We had good movement on the previous play, on I think a 3rd and 2.5, and so no, we were inside the 10. The value 7, 3, obviously 0. There's a big separator there.
Jonathan, obviously not your first rodeo. 2 wins, 5 wins, 2 wins. Your first years at Oregon State before you had the big upswing. How would you compare the pace and the scope of that rebuild to what you're facing here? And what would you say to fans who are beyond frustrated at this point?
Yeah, I think that the landscape has changed going all the way back, whatever that was, six years ago, and you can turn the transfer portal, NIL, was not existent when I first got started. I do think there's some stepping stones, even as frustrating as some of the points of this season were, that we're going to build off of that. You know, if you younger players got a good amount of time, that's value there. And so if those guys keep playing and getting some experience, we worked through this season with some young guys in some young spots.
Coach, how would you compare life in the Big Ten to life in the Pac-12?
Yeah, it's good to, well, I mean, because we got 4 of them in the league. I do think the line of scrimmage matters. I think this weather matters too. The experience, just a couple of these last ones, that's a little bit different. This thing is competitive now. There's some good players, good scheme going on, tough road environments. Not that I'm saying Pac-12 didn't, but that stood out to me.
Jonathan, to your right over here. When you mentioned the kind of work to be done and the next steps, I'm curious, when your guys go through a season like this where things don't go the way maybe they had planned, how much can you learn about who they are as players and as kind of growth mindset people going forward?
Yep. You do. You learn a lot about how people handle adversity, setback, disappointment, and on the flip side, handle some success and attention and all of that. I do feel like there's a lot of guys in that locker room that are competitive. Football means a lot to them, and they'll be ready to bounce back.
Jonathan, over here. What's your sense right now is just how far you are away as a roster as you start to look at what's needed to compete at the line of scrimmage, depth in the back end, whatever it might be? How far are you away, and what's possible in one off season?
Yeah, I think a lot's possible in one off season. There are some positions that we need to get better. We got to add some depth there. We need some current guys that are getting a lot of snaps to take a step in their game, which I'm excited about doing that work of that. But yeah, each year I think now, and especially in this landscape of college football, you're going to have some turnover on your roster, and you got to do a nice job of identifying and plugging in spots where you need it.
Jonathan, I was wondering, start to finish with Aiden, what you saw from him in over 12 games, what you thought you'd get coming into the season based on what you'd seen over a year and kind of just his overall performance.
Yeah, I thought just looking at from start to finish, he continued to compete. He continued to, recognize that his game, his individual play needed to continue to work and improve. And I think I look at the last few, I don't think he's turning the thing over later in the year comparative to where he was at. He can't do it on his own. We've got to surround him scheme-wise and with some personnel to take a step. I got respect for him. It's not easy to play that position. And to go from week 1 to week 12 with all the ups and downs, the way he handled things, I got a ton of respect.
To your left over here. In your opening statement, you mentioned that you talked to the guys about a new way of doing things and that you believe in your processes and your procedures to turn this thing around. How would you explain what those processes and procedures are so that the fan base can believe with you?
Yeah, I spoke to the team in an appreciation that it was new way. Anytime a new staff, not saying one's better than the other type thing, it's just new, it's different, and I appreciate the group that I do feel like they bought into a lot of the work, the idea of doing it together. We've got to get better and grow and develop. This is the ultimate team game, and so we got to do it as a team. We've emphasized a lot of those things, and I'm just confident that, again, the guys that make it not just strictly about themselves, those are the best teams, and that's confident in what we're building here.
Jonathan, throughout a lot of the season, we heard you say your goal was to be in a constant state of improvement. At the end here, when you look back, where do you feel like you guys made improvements this season, and what do you feel like was accomplished that can be carried over into future years for the program?
Again, constant state, like it's statistically, those games, I think the turnover thing was down the last couple offensively. That was a huge hiccup on that side. I think about just the individual players of growth. Look, we were playing in some spots with some guys that weren't, 12-game starters, but those guys continue to work on their game and think about the situations of the game that, we experienced maybe early on, and you want to do it better at the end. Not totally convinced. I think about the 2-minute today was not nearly as good as some of those 2-minute drives. So, but overall, each individual, if they're going through at work week in and week out, diving into practice, diving into the scheme, experiencing the game and learning from it, and then back to work on a Tuesday practice, individually 1 through 12, guys will be playing their best. I think that's how you got to do it, man. You got to put in the work, and a lot of this work takes place off season, right? The process of that now starts. But during a season, the week work on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday give you best chance on Saturday. If you complete that weekly process, then you're back to the next week. Should be a little bit better.
I'm wondering about the flip side of that. Maybe some areas of stagnancy or regression throughout the season that you felt maybe cost you, and then as kind of an aside with that, the Nate's penalty and the ensuing kickoff. How much did that affect you?
Yeah, it's it's disappointing that we did that because we had nice momentum to start this thing. It's 7-0, and the snow game, and I haven't talked to them on it, but it's not ideal when you're kicking off 15 yards back. They start their first drive on the 50, and then they answer right with 7. And so, look, these guys play hard. It's an emotional game, but that was a disappointing one. At times. Yep, and then they came back on us a couple. I think, just in general areas, right, we want to affect the passer more. We started off pretty hot doing that. Toward the end of the year, that, wasn't as good as we would have liked. And again, that's not only individual players. Look at the schemes, right? We're putting more tape out there, and that's why you got to own some of this as coaches. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so 11 games against FBS opponents, you guys weren't able to outscore any of them in the second half. So, how concerning is that to you, and what needs to be done to, flip that around next year?
Yep, we got to be, you got to play better in the second half offensively. I think about that. Just too many times where there's good flashes, we got good plays, but the ability to sustain it on longer drives, we've got to just got to be a little bit more detailed. And make some of those plays to put it in the end zone.